It says starting. There we go. Okay, so we're recording. Again, thanks everyone for coming, and sorry I'm running a little bit late. Would someone like to offer an opening prayer?
Yeah, Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day. We're grateful for all of our blessings. We're grateful for the chance to have to meet here as a group and to listen and to teach each other. And we pray and ask that Thy Spirit will be with us. Help us to understand the principles that are there for us to learn and help us to grow and apply into our daily lives. Father, we love Thee and our soul. We're very grateful for Thee and grateful for our families and praying and ask that Thou please bless them tremendously. And we say these things in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we had the case, the Barbara Norris, and the reading to go along with it, the employee motivation article. Would someone like to give a quick synopsis on the case?
Yeah, I can do it. This lady, what's her name? Barbara?
Barbara Norris.
Just got promoted into this new position after she's gone through school and everything like that. And she's basically the intermediate for the employees, the nurses and the practitioners, things like that, and intermediate for the management. And prior to her, it seems like not really a lot happened in this certain position. So she's kind of left almost in no man's land. And now she's trying to give the nurses a voice while trying to work with management, and nurses are saying some of the things that might be wrong or going on that they don't like. And so now she's faced with having to go to management and try and fix the situation and try and handle all that while, doing the task.
I think that's about it. I think the first question I have is, if you're going into this role, and this is one of the formed questions, if you're going into this role and you had someone that straight out told you, do not apply for that role, don't go into that fire, like, don't you think that, that would be pretty heavy on you in deciding whether you want to take the job or not? Or is she just that determined that she wanted to turn things around?
Well, it kind of said that she was that determined, because it was actually her mentor, like one of her really good friends, that said, do not do it. It's going to be awful. But she said that she liked to challenge, that she wanted the challenge, and that she wanted to try to change things around there. So I think that she might actually be the right person for the job, because you have to have someone with that kind of attitude. I don't know if I would have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
I think I would be a little bit more like, I'd rather have a position that's already good to go,
It was a rough one. And it's still rough at the end of the case study. I mean, ultimately, her director or whatever is basically coming at her saying, hey, are we moving the needle, after like a month, right? It's like, I think it could potentially take a little bit longer to fix this train wreck. But let me get the questions it had here. But ultimately, that's where this review ends. It ends at what are the challenges that she has to deal with, and what does she need to do going forward? And is this a long-term issue, or is it a short-term issue? In my mind, it's kind of what I get out of it, because she's got to go back and report to the director of how things are going. Let me pull up the questions here. I went into the behavior article. It took me away from the page that I was on.
Kind of going off what you were saying, I don't know, maybe it'll just kind of start a conversation. But I think she's got short-term and long-term issues. There's things she's going to have to correct right off the bat. But I think it's more going to be long-term. I think one thing she might try and do is, so obviously she's the head of the unit or the head of the floor, whatever the case is. I think she needs to develop a team of supervisors, or divide things up a little bit more to where she's not trying to take on every single nurse. I think, maybe nurse A is over 3 or 4 nurses, or B wing or whatever the case is, but kind of divide and conquer instead of her having to listen to every single issue and try and combat all of that at one time.
It's not a bad idea. Kind of create a little bit of a leadership model. I think the difficulty that you could potentially run into is if someone is being given this role, they might be expecting more pay along with this role. How do you pitch the, hey, we're going to give you a kind of leadership role, but it's not really going to increase your pay? You know, how do you make that kind of a pitch?
You just tell them to suck it up.
Is it going to be just this temporary, this for the good of the unit? We have to turn things around, and the leadership model is the way that we need to turn it around.
I believe they say they don't really have a lot of money as far as overtime and extra pay and stuff. So I don't know.
They have nothing.
Maybe you got to tell them, like, look, hey, we're trying to fix this situation, so we need a couple of you guys to step up as leaders. And maybe some will, maybe some will. You know, I don't know, but it doesn't really sound like pay's necessarily an option.
Mm-hmm. No, because that's part of the issue, right? So with pay, so there are many issues. You guys want to name a couple of the issues that you feel I mean, she lists them right there. She knows what the issues are. How do they fit along with the article that we read? Like, how do we take those issues that she has listed in the article? What are the ways to solve those issues based on the other article that we read along with this report?
I think there's a lot of, I think what needs to be done is going right back to that, the pyramid and the 5 dysfunctions is building a relationship of trust. Right there, I feel like from what I'm hearing, people, like one of the newbies, I think her name was Megan, basically says, you guys are mean. You're just, there's what I put it is there was a culture of chaos that was developed there, and no one has the reins to bring it in. And so Barbara's going to have to really, as they say, take off the Band-Aid, put the salt on the wound, scrub it hard, and take out the infection. And it's going to, but if they know that Barbara's out to help them, I think there's a lot of things that can be done where money doesn't have to be involved. Like what Keaton was saying is that they need to decide. She's like, my hands are tied, but if they can't come together as a team, there's no way they're going to be able to pitch it to the administration to get more money for them, because they're going to say, what good is it if I give you guys money? What are you guys going to do? But if she can rally them to get together and come up with some real solutions, they can come in with a real proposed plan of action and say, hey, this is our goals, this is our vision, this is what we're going to do, but I need you guys to back us up. And if you can't back us up, then I don't know what I can do, because this is the buy-in from the whole group. And it's going to take a lot of time, but I also believe too, have you guys ever seen the movie Forever Strong? It's that rugby one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, I like what the coach has. 168 wins to like 5 losses or something like that. Like just some amazing stats. And I like in the movie, I don't know if that's his real life, but he was sitting on lawn chairs pretty much the whole practice, because what he was trying to do is get to know those people and get them to trust. And I feel like there is real things that, because she can't do everything, but she needs those people to do everything. And if she can get them to move the mountain, those people will move mountains for her if they know that she's got their back.
So what specifically, I think we have a pretty good idea of, well, maybe let me ask you guys. So what is she trying to do? And more specifically, what does she need to do in order to make the changes she's trying to make? And specifically, what is she needing to do?
So there's one thing that I think is causing a problem on 2 levels. And that is, they mentioned in the reading that people aren't really getting very fair end-of-year evaluations, and they're not getting any like really good bonuses based on their evaluation. People who got a better evaluation don't get a better bonus than those who don't. And there might need to be a differentiation there. You know, there might have to be something based on your performance. You get paid more, so that people are, you know, it's that which one is it? It's the acquire, right? It's, oh, I'm going to try hard. I'm going to do better because I'll get paid more. And as part of that acquire, and as part of that end of year review, I think part of that review has to be how well you work with the team, how well you help the other nurses, or how willing are you to help those that are working at the same time as you. Because that's two birds with one stone. If people are worried about trying to say, okay, well, I want to do a good job, I want to get the raise, and part of that means I need to help other people, at first they'll start helping people just for the sake of getting a good end of year review. But as they start to do that, they start to, you know, trust each other a little bit more. They start to become better friends with each other because they're helping each other more often. So then you see people who are doing better, getting raises, and they're building their team up, which knocks out two of the problems. That knocks out your acquire and your bond, or your culture of the workplace there. So that's something that I thought might be something that was beneficial, and it would help you with two of the four primary drivers.
So if I read the case correctly, it sounds like everyone gets raises regardless of the year-end review. Does something
but they're all the same, and they're not very much.
Yeah.
Does something need to change there?
Yeah.
And have control over that.
That's what Skylar was just talking about, that those assessments need to be done more accurately. If you're not pulling your weight, maybe everybody gets a raise. Maybe that's what their standard is, but okay, you only get a 5-cent raise, but nurse Jackie or whatever, she's the best on there, so she's going to get a $3 or $4 raise. You know, I think that's what Skylar is saying, is do these assessments correctly, and then people will say, well, if I work harder and I work better, then I'm going to get paid more. Or maybe kind of going along with that, like, hey, if I take the time to be a trainer and train these new nurses coming in, maybe I get paid more. Maybe that you add that to the assessment. Did you take the time to train this last year? Or were you like the one nurse who's like, I'm sick of training these people, I don't want to do it. So I mean, that those new nurses are kind of screwed too.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I guess what I was trying to get to is, from reading the case, it sounds like maybe she doesn't, or that role hasn't had control over what the actual increase is. It sounded like everyone gets the same increase. And I'm not sure if that's just because of the manager previous was poor at doing her job and didn't do good reviews. So does simply changing the review process change that, or does she need to go to the people that are managing the hospital and say, hey, I need control over what their increases are?
Well, it seemed like it had to do with really, really bad records of past year-end reviews. And so that's on the side of the manager.
Yeah.
Whether she has control or not, I don't think it really matters. If she has correct and accurate end-of-year reviews, even if she has to hand those to someone else, they're going to base in maybe it's the process that needs to change, where whoever is in charge of getting money, it's based on the year-end review. But I think most of that has to do with the previous manager not caring. And because the previous manager didn't care, that's what's helped with this culture of pride and lack of teamwork or team effort in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I guess the way I read it, she probably needs to have a discussion. I think I agree 100% with you. She needs to change the review process, because it didn't exist, it sounds like, or it wasn't recorded at least.
Yeah.
And you can tell just reading the article, like, she's really good at what she does, right? When she had the meeting with all the nurses, and the two nurses that came out and like actually spoke up, like, it details like what she thought about those particular nurses. Like, she knows what their strengths and weaknesses are already. Like, she's already a really good nurse. So I mean, do you feel like a month in, knowing what she knows now, is it a good choice or not to take the role?
Well, I think there's a certain, she knows that hospital. I mean, it was where she was before she had her children and she came back. I think she wants to make it work. You know, I think she has a determination, because I think she probably now realized, wow, this is a lot harder than I was anticipating. But I don't think it was a bad choice for her.
Do you think she was the right choice for the hospital? Is she the right person in that job?
I think so, for a couple of reasons. One, she has the dedication. She wants to make it better. Okay, whether she burns out or not, right off the back, she has the dedication. She's not just trying to ride coattails. Two, she's been working in this unit for a while, and so she knows the process, whether it's the process of how things happen via medicine, things like that, or management. She knows all those different processes. She also knows all the different nurses, and she's proven that by her ability to say who these people are and what they've done. So I think when you put those things together, I don't see why anybody else would be a better option, because obviously nobody else applied. But maybe if somebody else applied that had already been in that position, yeah, sure, maybe. But I don't see why she can't get the job done.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are things that need to be done that she's not doing right now?
Sorry, say that again. You cut out there.
Are there things that need to be done that she's not doing or that she hasn't attempted to do yet?
Well, I think we're only about like a week into her employment, aren't we?
I think it's a month or something like that.
Yeah, this is going to be like probably a couple year program, but she's going to have to implement. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of things she has to get done, and she's going to have to have a lot of meetings, have to have a lot of conversations. What's this situation? We didn't even get a chance to see what happens when she goes back to management. She's the return and report person to management. So I mean, we really have about maybe 25% of the information of everything, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So we've got a better review process, and we've got putting in a better leadership model. So there's some accountability, and there's some training. What other solutions need to be implemented that she is doing now or that she isn't doing now? Like, she had that big meeting with them, or is that something that needs to consist weekly, monthly, twice a year?
I say bi-weekly at this time. I mean, I think what she needs to do is set a point to, okay, we're going to do this bi-weekly, and as soon as we start seeing some progress, it will go to monthly, because no one wants to be in meetings all the time. But things have to be addressed. And if I'm correct, this wasn't for, not everybody attended this. It was people who were off duty, wasn't that right?
Yep.
And so yeah. she's still got to get maybe the other half on going what's on. So there's a lot of work that she's got to do, and it's unfortunate for her. She's going to probably do a lot more meetings than she probably wants to, but at this time she's going to have to be doing a lot of studying and studying each of the employees, show and understand their values, and try to make them work in a position where they can they'll flourish and hopefully be happy in their job and have good job satisfaction.
Yeah, she also needs to be doing things that will make the culture more positive. Because having meetings and stuff could be good and all, but where is during the off hours? I mean, are those people that attend the meetings getting paid? And those kind of things, they can kind of affect the culture in a more negative way, which already the culture is negative. So is it going to really benefit? I think doing meetings will benefit, but in that scenario where they're already low on money, they're not paying overtime, are people going to be more likely to want to meet together if there isn't a benefit or reward for doing it?
So what should the content of the meetings be then? If we feel like, yeah, the meetings are good, what do they need to entail?
I think what they need to do is set some goals, as a group. You know, maybe she needs to set some goals. She needs a person to understand what her goals and vision of this, and then she needs to share it with them. And then let me rephrase. She needs to share the vision, and then they need to help, set up goals to which they can do it. Sort of like what it was in the 5 dysfunctions. The CEO came in. This is the vision. What are we going to do? Most importantly, all agreed they need to get more customers, and that's what they all came to a consensus. And when they do, that's a buy-in, and so everybody's now accountable to that buy-in. And so therefore, if they have all that, the results do come in. So that's what she needs to emphasize. She's working on her vision.
So do you think those 3 things essentially are going to do it? Have meetings, obviously the content of those meetings we don't totally know, but it's going to be somewhere around, hey, these are the goals we have as a unit. We need to get to know each other better, you know, probably have some fun stuff in some of the meetings, have some sort of leadership model put in place that can help properly train new nurses, as well as make sure that they're all communicating well together. And then just a review process, a better review process that's well organized and well documented. Are those things alone going to change everything, or is there anything else that needs to transpire?
I think that's a good foundation to be able to build on. I don't think where we're at right now we can answer every question and fix every problem, but I think that good foundation, those, I guess we'll just call them attributes for right now, of what you just said. Then you start to build upon that and build a more reliant culture and maybe a more open culture. It sounds like some people have kind of been hardened and they're kind of keeping these feelings in for a while. At least that's what it sounds like. But take that foundation, start to build on it, and go from there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I agree. Let me just look at so we talked briefly about the reward system, culture, job design, performance management. We've kind of covered a few of those things. Is there anything else that we have not covered, or that any other thoughts that anyone else has?
No, I mean, she's got a lot of work ahead of her. That's pretty much all I have to say.
I'm good. I'm just interested in what management is going to have to say when she does her return and report. That's what it's going to boil down to, is what.
Yeah. Do they just tell her to go keep kicking rocks? We're not giving you any more money, and we're not going to do anything to support you.
and that could be, and you know, sometimes that's what happens.
Yeah. It's probably more likely than not that she's not going to get any money, but maybe they'll do what they can to support her. I don't know. Maybe they give her overtime. I don't know. Do they need more nurses?
Yeah, they haven't replaced the ones that left.
So does the hiring freeze need to be discussed, and does that have to come off, or is that something they can continue not having?
I think it needs to be addressed. You know, maybe the reason they had a hiring freeze is because they had, we'll say maybe they had 3 people for one position. So maybe they just cut back on too many people, but it sounds like whether it's 1 person or 3 people, they need to hire back.
Yeah. To me, it seems like it's a pretty easy pitch to go to the director and say, hey, these are the things I'm doing, but we need help. Like the patients aren't being taken care of the way that they need to, not because of us, but because of a lack of us. Like we need more nurses, or we need overtime, one or the other, and in order to effectively run this unit. I don't know. I feel like that pitch probably does need to be made, and at that point, if they say no, you do what you can, but you're at least letting them know what needs to happen.
Correct.
Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Well, I think that well covers it. Good.
Cool. Thank you.
Who's next week? Or is this,
Well, that's the quick kicker. According to that thing, it said it wasn't